is a regular monthly meeting of the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee of the Sunshine Task Force. I'm Sue Cawthon, the chair. To my right is Member Doyle Johnson, and to his right is Member Marjorie Ann Williams. At the table to my right is our City Attorney, Jerry Threet, and across from him is our Administrator, Chris Rustum. So we'll start with roll call.
Member Cawthon?
Here.
Cawthon present. Member Johnson?
Present.
Johnson present. Member Williams? Here. Williams present. Madam Chair, there is a quorum.
Okay, are there any agenda changes?
There are no agenda changes, Madam Chair.
Okay, then we'll just go to the first item.
The first item is the adoption of October 8, 2009 meeting minutes.
Well, I know I sent in my comments. Does anybody have any other comments? Then I would entertain a motion to approve as written.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
On the minutes, Member Johnson?
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Johnson, aye. Member Williams? Aye. Williams, aye. Member Cawthon?
Aye.
Cawthon, aye. Madam Chair, we have 3 ayes.
Minutes are approved. And item number 2.
Item number 2 is the hearing on the status of the July 28, 2009 order of determination of Ann Grogan against the Police Commission. Madam Chair, as you suggested, I wrote a letter to Lieutenant Riley and Ms. Grogan. The complainant has responded favorably.
So she's all set.
Yes.
So we can simply move on then.
Yes.
Do we table it? We can table it, yeah, so that she's, we don't have to send it on to anybody. So good, I'm glad that one got settled. And I have to tell you one thing. My furnace broke, and I don't have any heat. So the days that I would have spent on EOTC and other business, I was frantically calling furnace people and having interviews and taking notes and so on and so forth. So there will be some gaps as we move along the agenda, but I did want to go to item number 3.
Item number 3 is the presentation to the Shelter Monitoring Committee on December 12, 2009 at 10 a.m. in room 421 at City Hall.
Okay. And I just sort of want to give out assignments. If anybody has any preferences, let me know.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
December 12th is my birthday,
Oh.
and I believe that's on a Saturday, is it not?
I don't know what day of the week December 12th is.
December 12th is a Saturday.
Yeah. Oh.
So I don't have any
sure it isn't
objection trying to keep that commitment, but at this moment I don't know if anyone else has anything planned for me. It's early in the morning, so
sure
I think that we can get it done.
Are you sure it isn't
Madam
December?
Chair, I think we have to check on that because City Hall does not
Are you
open
sure it
on
isn't
Saturday.
December 2nd?
But yeah, the 12th, I'm pretty sure.
My recollection is that it's December 2nd. But could someone check?
I will go back and check.
Yeah, I don't have my date book with me.
If it's the 2nd, then that's fine.
The 2nd is, yeah, what day of the week is the 2nd?
The 2nd is a Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it's the 2nd. So let me... shelter presentation 12/2. And would you make a note to check that? I'm going to make a note to myself to check it as well. But since Bernice Casey was so nice to, I think she's really worked hard to meet Sunshine commitments, and so we certainly want to help her out by showing up at her meeting on the right day. The letter that we had last time was dated October 8th, and it was from her, and it said basically that the things that that there was an error in judgment on training, and the way the steps they've taken to rectify it are they're also taking the Sunshine training video. They've gotten copies of the Good Government Guide, which, by the way, Chris, you have it here? Okay, great. They also, all committee members got emails citing the, I think it's 67.15 public comment rules. What else did they do? Well, they asked us to come make a presentation. And they've also reformatted their agenda to make members of the committee more aware of the time frame for public comment and when it can be made. So it seems they will be receptive to us on December 2nd. At least I hope it's December 2nd.
Well, I really need to know, I mean, we need to get together and find out who's available to make these dates, committee members and the organizations.
We have a full task force meeting on the 1st, correct? Yeah.
That's right. So is it going to be on the 2nd?
That's the date that I remember, and the date was.
We're going to have one on the
Well, could members be recognized? It would be a little easier if members could be recognized. Marjorie?
Yeah, I can't do anything back and back because I'm on more boards than this, so. And it's important, but I need to know if it's going to be on the 2nd or if it's going to be on the 12th.
Well, it's not going to be on the 12th, and my recollection is that it's going to be on the 2nd. And we said it last time when we had, and I don't believe you were here, so we set the date last time, and as long as Doyle can make it, the two of us can go, and if Doyle can't make it, I'll go alone.
Okay.
But I think that we should definitely accommodate them. They've been so nice to us, and they have really been over, Bernice Casey has been over backwards to assure that her committee knows the rules of sunshine regarding public comment and agendas. So I just put down for me to look and make sure that it's December 2nd.
Okay.
And also, the task force, the December meeting is, are we having a November meeting?
No.
The November meeting has been canceled.
The regular has been canceled?
Yes, and a special meeting has been called for December 1st.
Okay.
First.
And it might be a long one, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
through the
it's
chair,
gonna be a
yes.
long one. That's why I say it's back to
Okay.
back.
So it'll be early the next morning to do the
Yeah.
next presentation with EO.
That's right, the very next day, yeah. Okay, so our meeting with, we're supposed to be, the monitoring group is 10 o'clock at City Hall in room 421.
And we might not get out of here until like 11.
Or maybe we can leave early.
I really hope it's the 12th. Yeah.
12th is a Saturday.
So it's
Oh,
not,
the 12th is the 7th.
it's not
so
the
that's
12th,
great.
it's not the 12th.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on now. So I wanted
Okay,
to.
well, excuse me, Madam Chair, you cut me off. I'm asked a question. This is going to be on a Wednesday. So if you plan anything on a Saturday, please let me know ahead of time because I have a lot of other meetings that go on Saturdays so that I could be on this board.
Okay. So I just wanted to give out some assignments. If anybody has any particular wishes, let me know. But I just thought we'd start out with me just giving a general overview of the Sunshine Ordinance. And then I would talk about agenda requirements and notice. Then I thought Marjorie could talk about public meetings, 67.5, and seriatim meetings, explain what they are.
Public meetings and what else? Excuse me?
Sorry?
You said public meetings and what else?
Public meetings is 67.5, and seriatim meetings is right after that. And if anybody has any questions, call me or call Chris.
Really, I think that's what I had last time, and I thought passive meetings was right behind that,
So seriatim meetings means if a quorum of the members talk to each other outside the confines of an actual meeting. And I was hoping to find the number, but I didn't. any event, Doyle could do agendas that they're public records at 67.9, and also could talk briefly about closed sessions. There are three sections on closed sessions beginning with 67.10, but I don't think that that's a matter of interest or of great interest to them, because their issue had to do with agenda and notification. But I mean, we could just mention it in passing. Let's see, then we come on to Marjorie again. Barriers to attendance prohibited, 67.13. This was one of the issues of Mr. Pitts, that he felt he was either not permitted to go or that he was not notified. So we just need to tell them what that says. And could you also do 67.14, which is that people are permitted to tape and otherwise record
Tape, okay.
meetings, tape recording, printing, and filming, and still photography. Then we get to public comment. I'll do that. Then Doyle can talk about the minutes, 67.16. And then Marjorie, then we'll get to public records, which is, the big one is 67.21. And maybe Marjorie and I can share that one. Also thought 67.26 is interesting because a lot of times that's justify withholding, and a lot of times departments forget to do that. Then we come back to Doyle, and Doyle is our expert on intermediate disclosure requests. And you can talk a little bit about that because they are used so frequently. And that's it. Does anybody have any burning desire to do a particular section?
I just want to be sure that you have me for public records, 2.1, and for barriers, 67.3, and for tape and filming, and for public meetings, 67.5.
I should have written this out. Sorry, I didn't.
What did you say?
Let me go. I'll take it from the top.
I'm writing it down.
So Marjorie has 67.5, which is public meetings
Yes.
and seriatim meetings. SERIATIM. Then you also have
Barriers, you said.
well, just let me go, yeah.
Okay.
67.13, barriers to attendance are prohibited.
Mm-hmm.
And then you and I will do the big one on public records, 67.21. And then you can talk about that you have to justify withholding that, 67.26. Okay. So now Doyle gets 67.9, that's agendas or public records, and this is very relevant for these folks because their error was in their agenda writing. And then you could also go to 67.10 and the two following, which is closed sessions, but I mean, we don't have to go into huge detail. Then also, could you do minutes, 67.16, and IDR, 67.25.
Through the chair, also, do you want to mention electronic retention?
Okay.
And that they're not required to create a document if it doesn't exist?
Right. Yeah, that's 67.21-1, policy regarding use and, wait a minute. Is it policy regarding use and purchase of computer systems? Let's see, it says, departments should utilize the computer technology to reduce the cost of providing records and managing them. Also, if it's economically and technologically feasible, buy computer systems that make this easy. Is it make public access easy?
And technically, electronic records are supposed to be kept just as long as they're physical records.
Is that right? Is that right, Jerry? That you're supposed to, yeah, because I mean.
I think so.
The records retention policy, I'm not sure how it affects.
This has been a big issue for us going back and forth, and I might be getting a little bit confused with the amendments, but I'm pretty sure, it might be in the Good Government Guide, that the electronic record should be kept just as long as a paper record.
Oh, definitely. I think the electronic record is a record. And
Yeah.
so the records retention policy.
So that makes it clear to them.
Right,
that
yeah.
Sometimes you have to voice it in a different way.
Right. Because I know that we have had a lot of hoo-ha lately over the format that records are provided in. Are they provided, if they're provided electronically, is it PDF or is it, what is the other one, the one that has metadata? I can't remember. But I mean, we don't want to go into too much detail for them, but if someone does request an electronic record, they should provide it electronically if they have the capability, and most people do, except the planning department, or so they say. So, okay, we will do that. And one of the things that we talked about last time was making these presentations meaningful to the audience, so that because their issues have to do with attendance and notice and agenda, the content of the agenda, that we should focus on that stuff. Doyle?
Should we also mention notice, like in City Hall and and making it easy on like their website? I know that was an issue with a mistake in a past case.
Right. And
We might want to focus on that if that's one of their issues.
67.2?
72 hours in advance.
Right. I gave this to
You gave
myself,
that
but
to me, it's justification,
I'm doing notice. But Doyle, if either one of you want to chime in, just raise your hand and do it. So I think we need to focus on rules for people. I mean, rights of the public to attend and responsibility of the agency to provide notice and let people come to their meetings. So that was their downfall. Anything else? Okay. Could we read number 4 then?
Item number 4 is the 10-day and 14-day extensions and tiny sunshine responses.
Okay. This is something that has come up in groups that I've been working with. So, Jerry, I don't know if I should recuse myself or not, but I think there's an issue that groups I've been working with have been making IDR requests to the library, rec park, and DPW. And routinely, they get back a 14-day extension. And I read the 14-day extension, which is in the Public Records Act, and it says 14-day extensions are justified by unusual circumstances, such as having to get a document from a remote storage facility. So I don't think that people should make a habit of routinely taking a 14-day extension. If it were a regular sunshine request, they would get it. They could have up to 10 days to respond. But I think that I'm not quite sure. What do you guys think?
If it's a notice that it's come up, I think the question should be what to do about it next. Should we send a letter?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 67.21 says somewhere within it, without unusual, shall respond to the, a custodian shall as soon as possible and within 10 days comply. also says, let's see, there is a phrase in here that says without unusual delay.
I think, Madam Chair, we'd have to me, I would go about case-by-case study, I mean, on that, because if the person that is supposed to be, is in the hospital or something critical and, you know, and nobody else is there, I mean, you know, we couldn't have it, so it would have to be determined that, but just, we can usually tell when they just making excuses to delay it, but if it's something really serious, you know.
Well, in this particular instance, there have been a lot of IDRs, and they're to these three departments. And these three departments, in fact, have routinely taken a 14-day extension. Now, 67.21A says the record shall be provided without unreasonable delay. So the question becomes, what's unreasonable delay? Doyle?
I guess my only suggestion would be to provide proof. So, Chris, if there was a way to pull up how many complaints there were this year, would that be acceptable? And then if there was all of the complaints that came forth with these committees, they all submitted an IDR, you all took the 10 to 14-day extension. We're wondering why. This is what the Sunshine Ordinance says, and then wait for a response for that.
Madam
Jerry?
Chair, it's a little difficult to provide advice here because I'm not quite sure what the question is. So if the question is there are multiple instances where it appears that an agency has violated the time limits for responding, then I think the way that that would be dealt with is to file a complaint noting the different instances and what the circumstances of each of those instances were. And then that would provide the task force with the ability to review those facts and say there's a pattern here from this agency, and perhaps that would be a good opportunity, if the facts warrant it, for the task force to find a willful violation that could be referred.
The situation is that the response to the IDR automatically takes a 14-day extension, and it's three departments that are working together on this particular project.
Can I ask, is it their official policy that all IDRs are responded to with a 10-day extension notice?
Well, the IDR, there has to be a response by the end of the next business day, but
Yes.
it doesn't have to, you don't have to provide the documents. You could say, we will give you the documents as soon as we compile them.
Well, if it's unclear, if they have an official policy on that, one thing that could be done for someone who's concerned with this issue is that they could issue a public records request for all responses to IDRs, initial responses to IDRs, for a period of time, and then you could review those responses and see if this is their official policy.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, so I will take this back. I guess my point was that the code section in the California Public Records Act says that a 14-day extension should only be taken under unusual circumstances. So the question becomes, are all your circumstances unusual because you're taking the 14-day, you and the two other departments are routinely taking the 14-day extension? So as I say, I can take this back, and I mentioned this at the last task force meeting when they were talking about, it happened to be the library.
Well, for instance, under 67.25, which deals with IDRs, there are three categories that the Sunshine Ordinance provides for justifying a 10-day extension. It's voluminous nature of the information requested, its location in a remote storage facility, or the need to consult with another interested department. So, you know, it's entirely conceivable that a series of IDRs received by the library, for instance, might require one of those three things. I don't know. certainly it would seem unusual if every request required one of those.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that I'm mentioning this is that someone who's been doing the research did find an email from one department to the two others telling them their policy for responding and so on and so forth. It seemed a little bit to the group that was conspiracy to withhold.
Well, that would be very interesting evidence.
Yeah. So in any case, okay, well, I will take this back to people and see how far they want to go. Okay, anything else on this? All right. Okay, number 5.
Number 5 is department head calendars, how to assure compliance with section 67.29-5.
Yeah, and I think, that the calendar requirement means that each department head, the mayor, and the supervisors, I think it is, have to keep a calendar and provide it, and the calendar is a public record. Some of the issue that some of these people had was that there was it had to do with the city librarian's calendar, and there was a calendar, but there were lots of cancellations, and there wasn't any indication of what happened when instead, if a whole afternoon's meetings were canceled and there was nothing instead, I don't know if that's a violation, but it certainly isn't providing a calendar, a report, or a record of what you're doing. 67.295.
I think we had that problem with the fire department too.
Remember?
Oh, God.
I remember that, yeah.
Through the chair, is this referring to when we went over that they didn't actually have to say who they met with, but they had to have a meeting?
Yeah.
And did they have to keep minutes?
No, we talked
They
about
just had to. They just had to. I think they had to give a vague description. I think that actually the best way to assure compliance with it is to refer it to CAC.
Okay, I don't know if these people want to go that far, but I mean, but that's a thought, because CAC. The 67 the calendar section says, and Frank Brass did mention this at our October meeting, that the calendar must record the time and place of the meeting or event attended, but does not have to have the name of the person who was met with.
And through the chair, we could just go with that one complaint and see if that calendar has complied and refer it to CAC. That would be a start.
Yeah.
If you're asking what is required by this section,
Right.
this section requires that if the meeting or event takes place and the official attends it, then it has to be in the calendar, and there has to be a general description of the discussion that took place. If the meeting does not take place, there's no such requirement. And the phrase general description is fairly ambiguous, and so I think it would be something that would inform the average person of the general nature of what took place. So it's not a very strict requirement, I would say.
Frank Brass read to us from the Good Government Guide. For meetings not otherwise publicly recorded, the calendar shall include a general statement of issues discussed. So I'm not sure. We met about the Viz Valley Library.
That is the phrase.
Would be sufficient, but that is the phrase, yeah. Well, there was one incident that was where a meeting was canceled with a group where the guy was supposed to speak, and then he had a meeting with somebody else, but it never appeared. The calendar simply shows the meeting with this first group. It doesn't show the meeting that he actually had.
Well, not knowing the circumstances of the meeting he actually had, I wouldn't be able to say whether it was required to be recorded in the calendar. If it's a purely personal meeting, then it's
No.
not required.
It was with the officers of the Library Commission, and something was coming up before them the following week that the city librarian was very concerned about getting passed. I mean, I'm just extrapolating as to what the content of the meeting could have been, but on the calendar, it simply shows that he met with the library support group. Which,
Oh, I see. So the calendar showed meeting with the group.
Yeah.
The group meeting did not happen.
The meeting
Instead,
happened,
there was
but-
a meeting with an individual who was a part of that group.
Right. The meeting happened, but the city librarian canceled. She didn't go.
Who went?
Nobody went. I mean, the meeting was held, but the city librarian was on the agenda. But his agenda item had to be canceled because he didn't come.
So what is the concern?
So that he instead met with the officers of the Library Commission, but that did not appear in his calendar.
The librarian?
Sorry?
The librarian met with?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it should appear in his calendar.
Right. Right. You know, so the question becomes, you know, do you want to blow the whistle, or, you know, what do you do? But this is a sort of a recurrent event, that a meeting will be scheduled and show on the calendar, and you know the meeting, that he did not go to the meeting.
Madam Chairman, if I could speak, this is what's happening out in Visitation Valley. You know, the new library that's coming up, and DPW, they're working side by side. One is working there. And nobody's never notified of anything out there. You never know when a meeting is going on. You usually know because you keep up with things, you and Mr. Warfield. But the public, the community never knows anything about. And especially with DPW, you could just wake up one morning at 7 o'clock and they bringing trucks in and no signs, or you don't know what's going on out there. So we don't have any notification from DPW when anything is getting ready to be done. And that happens with the library, and the DPW is notorious for it.
So could you make a request to let you know?
I've called down here so many times on 311 and talked to so many supervisors. I mean, you know, they just pass you on.
But you should, Edgar Lopez is the head of DPW for the library project, Edgar Lopez. So you could call his office, and he's a good guy. You could mention that you'd like some notice when something important is going to happen at the library, or have Fran Martin do it.
Oh, yeah, well, we know Fran Martin. We go down there and we see, just like when we went to workforce development. I mean, it's only 3 blocks from my house. I have to pass it every day, and I look and I see who's working there. And I mean, under certain contracts, 30% of the community is supposed to be there. I look at it and I see who's working there, and I just shake my head. I mean, it's just so many things that's just not being publicized, or, you know. And it's very disappointing, and that's why the community does not have any trust. Because especially when you're working out in the neighborhood, DPW is laying a pipe on Leland and doing all that construction. You got the library, and you don't see a person from 94134 working on in those areas.
Yeah.
And that makes the community angry. So, you know, whether I try to be a peacemaker or not, I mean, you know, these are adult people, so they really don't have that trust at all. So, you know, I don't know how we can get around it. It seems like people just call meetings when they want to get ready and send people the cards that they want to attend.
Well, I think that one way, you could go to the library's website, www.sfpl.org, and on the home page, there is a link to a branch library improvement program. Then you can go to the branch library improvement program, and I think you can either hit DeVis Valley Library, or you can go to the bottom of the list and it says more records, and then it brings up all of the branch libraries. But it talks about what's happened. It doesn't talk about what's going to happen.
And you know, with all of that being said, I don't believe none of it, because I'm out there looking at it. I see what's going on every day. So, I mean, to write things down, and like you're a writer, and you know how to put words in the way, but to actually see something physical, I don't see all that happening.
Well, I'll tell you who to call. You could call Mindy, M-I-N-D-Y dot
Mindy of what?
Linetsky. Mindy Linetsky is supposed to be the person who gives out information. You could email her and call her and ask her what's going to happen.
Is that Mindy from CDC, 1099 Sunnydale?
This is Mindy. I think she lives out in
Oh, please.
in Portland.
She's
Yeah.
one of the problems.
Well, I agree with
We
you.
won't- we
I agree
won't
with you,
get
but
into that.
but
She's
it
one
is
of
her
the
job.
problems, yeah.
It's her job to keep people informed.
Yeah.
So.
So that's the whole ramification.
Well,
but
as I
that's
say,
the whole-
Edgar Lopez is a straight shooter, and he's the
He's a
head.
straight
of
shooter,
head.
okay.
You could talk to his secretary and just say, you were wondering, could she find out from him? Okay. So the next item is number 6, outreach for sunshine presentations, and I have to tell you, because of all this angst in my house about no heat, I haven't done any of the things I'm supposed to do. Has anybody have anything to comment on this?
We're still working on it. Like, we stopped before because we knew this would probably take us to the end of the year.
Uh-huh.
So I think we're all in the same place, but we're still on the same page.
Okay, so we'll just keep this on the agenda then?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, and also, Madam Chairman, for the newspaper, they will allow a space, but I missed the last one when we were talking about the meeting,
Madam?
putting it in the newspaper. Just what do they, they're not going to give us the whole, they put a whole ordinance
Madam Chair.
in there.
That is item number 8.
Okay, we on
We'll get-
8,
we'll-
okay.
yeah, we'll talk
I'm
about
sorry,
it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
So we'll then just continue this outreach onto the next agenda.
Okay.
Let's see. Continue to, are we going to meet in December? Anybody have any reason why we can't meet the second Tuesday of December?
Other than we're meeting the 1st, and that'll go late.
And then on the second
No,
too,
The second Tuesday of December,
Yeah.
which would be
Which would
Tuesday.
be the 10th.
Would be the 10th. Yeah, I have it in my book. So,
That's too many meetings for me.
well,
I'll be there.
You
okay,
can-
good.
yeah.
All right.
You can handle it then, yeah.
Okay.
And I wrote yours down, too.
Okay.
So let's go to number 7 then.
Number 7 is the status of the SFBUC sunshine procedures.
Yeah, this is something I'd like to wrap up.
Okay.
At some point, we made, the PUC people came, and their procedures had some flaws in them, so they came with their new procedures. And this is about 6 months ago, and we spent a lot of time going over them and making changes. And I'm not sure what happened to those changes, because last time we agreed that we would incorporate the changes into their procedures and send them to them with a cover letter. Let's see. Let me look.
Madam Chair, once you write that cover letter, the package will be ready to go.
What's that?
Once you write that cover letter, the package will be ready to go.
You have the changes, right?
Yes, madam.
Okay. So you want me to write a letter just saying, here they are? Okay. Yeah, there are 2 sections. The second section really is a duplication of the first section. So we decided that we finished with the first section, and we made the changes, and so we'll just apologize for this belated delivery, but here it is. Okay, so I'll write could you do me a favor? If I don't do it by the next few days, would you send me an email? Thank you. Okay. Okay. Now,
Item
here we
number
are.
8 is the contact with neighborhood newspaper editors.
Yeah. Again, I have not done my duty, so has anybody?
Okay, I've called the Sun Reporter
Yeah?
and the other paper, neighborhood papers.
Is
They are
that
willing,
page-
but they want to know just how much
Okay.
Do we want to, that's what we have to agree on. We, just how much space, everybody's bothered about space, putting it into their little community thing, what do we want to say? And that's what I need to get from you.
Well, you know what we could do? We
Cut.
have that brochure, that blue brochure,
Mm-hmm.
and that pretty much tells what we do. So we could just write that in a story form. And I would say 300 to 500 words. That's about, I don't know, 500 words would probably be a column, one column, depending on the size of the paper.
Okay.
300 words is about half that.
Okay.
So, let me know, and then you've got a copy of the brochure at home,
Yes,
right?
yes, I
Yeah.
know.
So you could just take it from that, because it says everything we do, and you could just write it out as a story.
Yeah.
And did you talk to the SF Bayview as well?
Oh, yeah, I talk to Mary all the
Yeah,
time.
because I'm sure they would be happy to have
Oh,
something like.
she was one of the ones saying, well, how much you want to put in here, and, and also the Sun Reporter.
Where's the Sun Reporter?
Oh, God.
We wrote it.
They moved out on
the-
Third
the
Street.
Didn't that used to be Carlton?
Yeah, that's
Be-
his, that
Be
was his
Goodlip?
newspaper.
Wasn't that his
Ashley
paper?
took it over,
Who took it over?
Ashley, the lady, Ashley, I can't
Oh,
think of her. I
okay.
call her
Okay.
Ashley. She
So
took
where is it
over.
located?
Out on Third.
Oh, is
on
it?
Third
It
Street.
is,
Yeah,
okay.
They moved, yeah, after
Okay.
Dr. Carlton
Okay, well,
died. Goodlip guy died, yeah.
Through the chair, my alternate plan was to just ask them if they wanted to do an interview.
Okay.
And should I refer it to you or the chair or
Yeah.
both?
Yeah.
Through Chris or, okay. And the other thing was
Who are you going to talk to? All these people here?
Paul Kosakovich from the Richmond Review and West Portal Monthly.
Oh, right.
Jerry Bates from Haight-Ashbury Beat, and Andy Sawak from Castro Courier. The other question I had was, you had already, Mr. Three, given me who to contact best at the SFPD mission station, but I kind of need that information again. But can I get an email?
I can send it, I can
You
send you.
can,
a
you
copy.
can send the email, okay.
Oh, and Madam Chair, another way
Yes?
for this to get out, not only in the newspapers, we don't have it on here, but we have connection with KPOO.
Oh, you
is
do?
oh, yes, and they always ask for, asking people to come
They
on
do?
for community, yeah, KEST and KPOO and
Oh, really?
all of them, but they physically want a body there.
Oh, really?
So I, to just, and
Could
even
you-
Comcast.
Could you do it?
Comcast, they're gonna, and I would have to give my presentation, but I was just throwing that in.
Why don't you
That
do it?
And, even if I don't do it, I have announcers that, would say, they'll pump it up because they listening at the reggae music.
Right.
Hey, you want to know your rights? Hey, you got the sunshine,
Right.
or it's like
Well,
that.
you know-
So you make it friendly like that. So, that's, and I would want to ask you, would you want that done too? That's a way
Sure.
to get to a lot of listeners that listen at different times.
Why
The
not?
soft storm, music like that,
If
They
you
would
would
go
go, I
into
wanna
really
go with
big
you.
detail. They would just say, hey, did you know that you have a right? There's
Right.
sunshine, orders. They would make it cute, sound peppy.
Yeah.
Why don't you give this number, call Chris,
So you're saying K-Poo and K-Cat?
K-Poo on Divisitero.
And what's the other one?
KST,
KDFC? Okay.
KEST.
K-E-F-T.
If you go and want to go someone with you, I'll go with you.
Yeah, we can.
Oh,
we
okay.
can
Well,
all
that's
go. It might
good.
be
So,
fun.
after the holidays, because they always looking for somebody
Yeah.
to fill in
Yeah.
some spots. They like to do a lot of community things over the radio.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could all go.
Yeah.
If they want to have people there, if not, we'll just shout out.
Let's just say mostly they give a
Shout
shout out. They give a shout out.
So, okay, that's that. And who was going to do Sunset Beacon and Richmond Review? Was that you, Doyle? Or was that me?
Sunset, yeah, because they're both owned by Paul.
Okay. And I was going to talk to Central City Extra and West Side Observer, and I will.
And I was going to ask if they wanted to do an interview or if they wanted to do, if they want to run a free ad, then I'll just give them a brochure.
Or a little news story.
Yeah,
Or you could give them your brochure.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We didn't put the brochure on, by the way, because we felt that we'd kind of put that one to bed. So,
What about the little cards that he made? What happened with that?
Those were approved, and
Okay.
hopefully they will be done next month by New Year's, while all the jazz starts going out, so we can start the sunshine out with. We can start the new year out with
New
some
Year.
sunshine.
Okay, that's cute. Okay, I think that's.
are we going to get the city seal on them? I think it was you who said we could have the city seal because there weren't very many of them.
It's a gift to the city.
It's okay to do the city seal.
Okay, good. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, well, I don't see any public, so I don't think we need to ask for public comment. So item number 10. Which is item number 10.
Committee members' comments, questions, and requests for future agenda items.
Okay, anybody have any ideas, thoughts, wishes?
I think we have enough.
I think we have enough. We have enough to keep us really busy. So, Chris, what is the status of referrals from the CAC? Do you know?
I'm still compiling the,
Are they still intending to refer stuff to us?
yes.
Because the referrals are great for our presentations because it's an ideal opportunity for us to pitch, the information that we can provide to them if they want to have a forum. So, okay. So then, there being no further business, by a rising vote, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving.